Jokic has it. Clock ticks. Got to put one up. Jokic for the win. Oh! It's good! Jokic got it off in time! And the Nuggets...
Look for Torrey Craig maybe to get back in this ball game.
So if he does check in, this place is going to go crazy.
Ooh,
Jokic between the wickets.
Oh, and a finish from Millsap and one. Wow!
3 MVPs in 4 years, and Nikola Jokic has already cemented his name among the best players in NBA history. And while he is no doubt the best player in the league right now, he is far from the greatest center in NBA history. So who are the 8 centers better than Nikola Jokic? Best in the world.
You are playing with the best who you played with. You played with the best player in the league.
In the world.
In the world. I mean, clearly, yeah.
In the world.
The era of the big man is back, and Nikola Jokic is at the forefront. For years, the NBA has focused on long-range shooters like Steph Curry and explosive wings like Russell Westbrook. But that wasn't the case in the 60s, 70s, and even 90s when centers dominated the league. To understand how outstanding Nikola Jokic has been, you should know that an NBA center had not won the league MVP since 2000 until the Denver Nuggets big man did so in 2021 and 2022. Many would agree that he should have won it in 2023, but he has won his 3rd MVP, making him the 9th player to be named MVP 3 times and the 4th center in NBA history with 3 or more MVPs. And what makes all of these even more impressive is that he was 41st overall in 2014 during a commercial break. So he has his claims as the greatest 2nd-round pick in NBA history. But does he have a claim for the best center ever? Well, no. There are at least 8 better centers than Nikola Jokic in NBA history. And the first of the 8 is the 6-time MVP, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
7 seconds. Finkel, the sky Kareem with a big pressure shot.
The ball into Kareem, swing left to right hand, 8-footer is good. He's sure to eat Brown up inside.
You are watching what greatness is all about. And Kareem with the skyhook.
Chicago found Kareem Abdul-Jabbar virtually unstoppable.
That takes care of that. That's 11 points now for Kareem tonight.
For 39 years, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held the NBA's all-time scoring record until LeBron James passed it. He is arguably the greatest center of all time, and there's no arguing that Nikola Jokic is nowhere near his greatness. 20 years in the NBA, and he was a 6-time MVP, 19-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 11-time All-Defense, 2-time scoring champion, and a 6-time NBA champion. Abdul-Jabbar is possibly the most decorated basketball player in history, with accolades and awards dating back to college when he won 3 consecutive NCAA titles at UCLA, as well as 3 straight consensus All-Americans. You should know that the NCAA had to ban dunking between 1967 and 1976 because of his dominance, which is why he had to refine his signature skyhook. His resume speaks for itself, and so do his stats, as he averaged 24.6 points, 11.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 2.6 blocks per game. Several Hall of Famers have since referred to him as the greatest. Watch Dr. J. Irving call him the greatest.
You know, Kareem is the greatest. I mean, in terms of centers all time, Kareem is the #1 guy. In terms of players all time, Kareem is still the #1 guy. You know, he's the guy you got to start your franchise with.
Wilt Chamberlain. Another player in NBA history who is better than Jokic is definitely Wilt Chamberlain. And you should know that for a very long time, there was a saying whenever Jokic posted some ludicrous stat line, it was, "Not since Wilt." There wasn't a single record that Jokic broke that didn't have Wilt holding on to it. Wilt was the 2nd player to three-peat as MVP, and while some would disagree, Wilt Chamberlain is the most dominant player the league has ever seen. If you doubt that, here is what a 43-year-old and retired Chamberlain did to a prime Magic Johnson in a pickup game.
I'll tell you a great Magic story. I'm a coach at UCLA, and he used to come to the men's gym and organize games.
I remember
and
There were a lot of pickup games back then.
all the time, and he used to make the sides and stack them. So one night I'm watching, and Kevin O'Connor are in the stands. Wilt Chamberlain's playing with 4 of my freshmen against Magic, Bernard King, James Worthy, Byron Scott, and Green.
AC Green.
AC Green. And it's game point. Magic throws a skyhook. Wilt blocks it. Magic calls game. And Wilt says, "That wasn't goaltending. That was a clean block." And Magic took the ball. He said, "Game over, next." And Wilt said, "Hey, coach, was that goaltending?" And I said, "No, that was a clean block." Magic says, "What do you think he's going to say? They're his kids." And Wilt says, "All right, look, we're going to play a game till 12. We'll do it again. Winner stays, and there'll be no more shots made at this basket." He blocked everything. Shot. 43 years old. He was blocking everything. It was unbelievable.
Somebody used to play in those 80s games who I asked who's the best player you ever played with or against told me it was about a 50-year-old Wilt Chamberlain at those UCLA pickup games. He was that kind of...
Magic Johnson, who played alongside Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, said,
"Everybody always points to Michael and making all these changes or things, but Wilt Chamberlain was the first one that really made changes. He was the first dominant person of basketball."
Wilt, there will never be anybody like it. They always say that about Michael. They always say that about other players, but there will never, ever be another Wilt Chamberlain.
Truth be told, there will never be another Wilt Chamberlain, and I highly doubt Nikola Jokic can ever surpass the center. He is a two-time champion, 4-time MVP, 13-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA, and a 7-time scoring champ. His career average is 30.1 points, 22.9 rebounds, and 4.4 assists per game, and that doesn't even tell the full story. From his rookie year and for 4 consecutive seasons, he led the NBA in points and rebounds. In his third year in the NBA, Wilt averaged 50.4 points per game. He has a 100-point game and a 55 rebounds game. I don't think Jokic can ever get that number. Wilt Chamberlain is generational, and the only reason he isn't the greatest center ever is none other than Bill Russell. Bill Russell. Only one basketball player made Wilt Chamberlain look human on the court, and it was Bill Russell. Wilt and Russell faced off in the playoffs 8 times, and the Boston Celtics Hall of Famer won 7 of those series. Year after year, Bill Russell kept getting the better of Wilt Chamberlain.
What a block by Russell! What a block by Bill Russell on Chamberlain's dunk shot. Incredible!
Bill Russell is the greatest winner in NBA history, and he won 11 titles in his 13-year career. And while he was not the greatest scorer most centers were, he was by far one of the greatest defenders the NBA has ever seen. During his time, there were no official stats for blocks and steals. Nevertheless, his career average was 15.1 points, 22.5 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. I mean, do you know what you have to do to have the NBA Finals MVP trophy named after you? Bill Russell has more rings than fingers, and the 12-time All-Star and 11-time All-NBA was highly regarded by NBA Hall of Famers and stars.
We were in the playoffs against the Celtics, and we went up 2-1. And you know, we thought we had a chance to upset, you know, the champions. In one game, I got 44 points, and Russ came to me after the game and told me, "Don't you ever come into my area again. I'm going to block every shot that you put up." I mean,
stand-up man.
The smartest player that ever played the game.
The Big Bang. We're never going to see a winner like that again.
It's no conversation.
You know what's on his hands? More rings than fingers.
I don't even think he knew what type of player he was going to be.
He could win the game without scoring the ball.
Opening avenues for the younger generation.
Well, going to 8 straight NBA Finals is not something I think Jokic can ever do, nor can he play 100 playoff games while averaging 18.3 points and 26.4 rebounds per game. Shaquille O'Neal. At his peak, Shaquille O'Neal was arguably the most dominant player in NBA history.
O'Neal bangs into a double team, dunks.
A steal, back to him. Yes, Shaquille O'Neal with a free fake and a sledgehammer. Hold on to the roof. The Shaq attack.
There was no answer for Shaq in the league. NBA teams had to develop Hack-a-Shaq to stop him.
The question is, will they be able to sustain it when adversity sets in?
And Jeff, for San Antonio, once again, people are saying, as they immediately have a Hack-a-Shaq call, I don't believe it. 5 seconds in. No, but that was... But that's a joke, yeah. Well, of course, it happened in the...
Shaq, in his 3rd year in the NBA and at 22 years old, defeated Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls in the Eastern Conference semifinals en route to the 1995 NBA Finals, where they lost to the Houston Rockets. His prime years, however, were with the Los Angeles Lakers, where he and Kobe Bryant three-peated from 2000 to 2002, with Shaq winning Finals MVP each year. And during that time, Shaq averaged 28.6 points, 12.4 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks per game. His career average are 23.7 points, 10.9 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 2.3 blocks per game. Shaquille O'Neal is a one-time NBA MVP, two-time scoring champ, 15-time All-Star, 14-time All-NBA team selection, and a three-time All-Defensive team selection. Obviously, Nikola Jokic is a versatile offensive threat, but he is nowhere close to the dominance Shaquille O'Neal was in his NBA career. Hakeem Olajuwon. Shaquille O'Neal played against many big men in his years in the NBA, but there was one he couldn't figure out. In fact, according to him, he was the best center of the 90s. And it's none other than Hakeem Olajuwon. The Dream is perhaps the most underrated center in NBA history because, while many centers use strength and power, Hakeem played with speed and finesse.
Opening up to Clerk, turns inside.
The Dream shot!
Olajuwon spinning one way, back inside. Trying to turn baseline.
Head of Drexler. In it comes now Hakeem, spin move. Look at that. How many moves did he make?
Hakeem Olajuwon? Most guys are tri-dimensional. One move, two, maybe three. Hakeem had 7 moves on each block, so he was hard to stop. Shaq said, "The Dream was a 12-time All-Star, 2-time Finals MVP, 2-time NBA champion, 1-time regular season MVP, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and the NBA all-time leader in blocks." Over 18 seasons, he averaged 21.8 points, 11.1 rebounds, and 3.1 blocks. And in the minds of many, he is perhaps the best defensive player in history, which is something you can't say about Jokic. Besides Hakeem, like Jokic, won an NBA championship without another All-Star on his team. But you have to admit that Jamal Murray averaged 26.1 points per game and 7.1 assists per game on their remarkable playoff run. Whereas Hakeem Olajuwon had to play against the likes of Shaquille O'Neal and David Robinson on his second title run in 1995 with a 20 points per game scorer in Clyde Drexler beside him. Moses Malone.
Good foul.
Julius Erving fakes, hooks it off to Malone. He'll go up and power and jam one. Moses Malone
Banks it home. Tough shot.
A 3-time MVP like Nikola Jokic, but he was a major on both ends of the floor. In his first year with the Sixers, he led them to their first championship since 1967. Malone's peak was among the most dominant in NBA history, and there is a reason his number is retired both by the Houston Rockets and the Sixers. He was a 13-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA, with 2-time All-Defensive team selections to his name, and the NBA's all-time leader in offensive rebounds. His career average in the NBA was 20.6 points on 49.1% shooting, 12.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, and 1.3 blocks per game. Nikola Jokic is definitely a better playmaker, but overall, and on both ends of the court, he is nowhere near Moses Malone in his peak. David Robinson. Next on the list is David Robinson, also known as the Admiral. The Hall of Famer center had to wait 2 years to enter the NBA because of his Naval Academy commitment, but once he got in, it was legendary. In 14 seasons in the NBA, Robinson averaged 21.1 points on 51.8% shooting, 10.6 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. He led the league in rebounds in his sophomore year, led the NBA in blocks in his 3rd year, and led the NBA in scoring in his 5th year. The Admiral was a lefty who excelled at both ends and could run the floor like a small forward. So it isn't any surprise that he ended his NBA career as a 2-time NBA champion, 10-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA selection, 8-time All-Defensive selection, and Defensive Player of the Year. Nikola Jokic could be a triple-double king, but he has never done a quadruple-double, something David Robinson did in 1994 against the Detroit Pistons when he recorded 34 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 blocks. For what it's worth, another championship and perhaps a Finals MVP could see Nikola Jokic pass the Admiral as 7th greatest center in NBA history. But for now, he is behind David Robinson.
David Robinson. I mean, David Robinson gets overlooked as one of the best centers of all time.
Reggie, are you thirsty? 90s. I want you to drink some of this. You can say what you want, but 2 championships later in the MVP, David Robinson was a load. Yeah, no, he was the man. He was a load in the 90s.
You know, so you have to stay on your feet all the time and be alert on the floor. You can't blink.
If he's having this type of year now, then first year out, you know, the sky's the limit.
Patrick Ewing. And last on the list, we've got New York Knicks legend Patrick Ewing. Surprisingly, he's the only one on this list without a championship, but a ring doesn't tell the whole story. After all, the Knicks with Ewing leading the team made some deep playoff runs, but Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls were just too tough to get past. Ewing lost to MJ in 5 of his 12 playoff runs with the Knicks, including twice in the conference finals, and when the Knicks made the finals in 1994, they lost to Olajuwon's Rockets, and in 1999, lost to Robinson's Spurs, even though Patrick Ewing didn't play in the series due to injury. In any case, Patrick Ewing in his 17 years in the NBA averaged 21 points on 50.4% shooting, 9.8 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 2.4 blocks, and 1 steal per game. He was an 11-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, and had a 3-time All-Defensive Team selection. Patrick Ewing being added ahead of Nikola Jokic is just a matter of time, and the fact that, unlike Jokic, he played in an era of big men and held his own.
Equaled a career high with 39 points, and then 21st in Orlando, the Magic won 106-103 in a terrific duel between the two centers. In 10 days and a good portion on the road, Charles Smith changed his mind. Here is Patrick Ewing. The next 5. How do they move the backboard on Charles? Scott's pass broken up. Ewing takes the start.
For what it's worth, what almost everyone on this list has over Jokic is their defensive ability. And this is not to say the Joker doesn't play defense, but he is levels below any of the 8 players we have already mentioned. Nonetheless, there's nothing another championship and finals MVP can't do, and we might be talking about him being one of the top 5 greatest centers ever. Some NBA fans have shared their opinion about Jokic being one of the greatest centers of all time, and one user commented, "Shaq was a freak of nature, but Jokic's IQ surpasses everyone." Another user commented, "If he wins another chip, his name's gotta be next to Shaq. Not saying passing Shaq, but he needs 3. If you enjoyed this video, the next video on your screen is worth your time.